sisters, and friends. This afternoon, we want to talk about the ballot or the bullet. The ballot or the bullet explains itself. We have a fight that's common to all of us. We suffer political oppression, economic exploitation, and social degradation. Today it's time to stop singing and start swinging.
Hey. Good morning.
Check. 1 2 1 2. This thing on.
I hope so. Welcome. Fresh edition for Sky Omaha in the morning. Happening right now on this Friday, May 30th. Man. End of
Already,
the month.
man.
Yeah,
Middle of the year.
Walking into the last weekend before I got to pay rent. That's what I'm looking at. That's how I look at it.
That's how we starting the show. That's how you gonna do me. That's how we kicking things off, huh? My back.
My neck and my back. Appreciate you guys coming on in. Pops gives us a good Friday morning and mad love from Las Vegas. Appreciate you, Pops.
Hey.
Mark Matter gives us a good morning. Good morning to you.
Hey, brother Mark. Peace.
Brother Mark. I was just hearing somebody talk about New Music Monday or New Music Friday.
Really?
That's when music drops. It's Fridays these days. Mark Manor would know better. It used to be Tuesdays back in the day until Beyonce did her thing, and then when she dropped on a Friday, the whole industry changed. That's what they said.
Is that what it was?
That's what they said.
I remember Tuesdays, man.
Yeah, you remember when she dropped that one where it was like there was no prep for it or nothing. She just out of the blue dropped one and shook the world.
Was that Lemonade? Was that?
Yeah, it might have been. But yeah, so now Fridays, I guess, is the day. So hey, get your record collection together. Get the homers.
Man, record store.
Get the record store happening. Michelle Moreno gives us a good morning. Good morning. Leah Keister, your turn, buddy. Your turn.
Okay. Happy Friday. Yip. Yo. Up. I skipped. Hold on.
You skipped the yip.
Yeah. Hold on. Uno reverse. Happy Friday. Yip. Yo. Yay. Yip. Yo. Yay. Yip. Yay. Yo. And I think I lost my camera. 1 second.
Oh, we're starting off Friday right. I love it. RG says, where's old crazy Lynn with the Friday? He just yippee-ki-yay. Marlon Harrison says, good morning, First Guy fam, and happy TGIF to everyone. That's what's up. RG gives us a good morning. Pop says, yep. All looks and sounds great. Good. I'm glad. Buddy, bring his camera back here in a minute.
Yeah, RG, I'm still here.
Sean McCarthy gives us a morning, everyone. Mark Manor says, been that way for a while. We miss Tuesdays. Yeah, man. Yeah, Tuesdays, New Music Tuesday. Kind of remember that. I vaguely remember standing in line at Music Plus, waiting for a Prince release back on a Tuesday morning when I was supposed to be at school type of thing. So, yeah, Fridays now. Heather Williams gives us a good morning, everyone. Appreciate you. Lots to talk about today. Of course, I know you saw in the title that we got a special guest. Tamara Dwyer is coming through. She's going to be speaking to us about the homeless situation here. We've been wanting to talk to her for a while, so I'm anxious to be able to have a conversation with her, and that'll be good. And also, of course, whole town talking about what happened at the 360 meeting. We're most definitely going to have to talk about that. And for those of you who don't know, the 360 meetings are held by Empowerment Network, and they're a weekly meeting that brings together law enforcement, community leaders, community members to discuss what's going on, and they're mostly in there discussing how to lower crime and lower gun violence and so on and so forth. So with Brother Ibrahim's murder by the police officer just recently, by the sheriff, excuse me, of course there's a lot of things to say, and a lot of people showed up to this week's 360 meeting. Brother Ibrahim's mother and everybody else. We're definitely going to have to talk about it. Lots going on here. So if you were a part of that that organized effort to show up to the meeting and speak, and you were there firsthand, we would love to hear what you got to say firsthand, of course. And we'll definitely be talking about more of the situation.
High energy.
You okay with everybody?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah, got you.
Okay. Yeah, I'm working on camera.
Okay. Marlon Harrison says, y'all need to get Brother Kasim, Brother Sherman, and Sister Kimber Snipes on the show to talk about what happened at 360 meeting on Wednesday. Yeah, we're reaching out to Those individuals in particular, hopefully, we'll have somebody on Monday to talk more about it for sure. And what's going to happen over the weekend, and there's some activity happening over the weekend too, so we'll be talking about it for real. Also, RG says I'm still mad I didn't get an invite. Yeah, you gotta just show up to them. Wanda Luz gives us a good morning. Michelle Marino said yes. Yeah. Appreciate everybody who's joining us today. I figured, we saw a lot of folks out there that from Chad Chimers. As a matter of fact, Brother Marlon Harrison dropped some photos of him and Kimra Snipes. So appreciate you dropping some of these photos. Yeah, heated arguments went down. We'll be talking about it for sure. Before we get into it, I'm gonna go ahead and let
Yeah,
Buddy
yeah.
behind the scenes do what he's doing, and I'll jump into some community updates that's going on. First of all, I want to give a shout out to Precious McKesson. She is doing something else now again. Congratulations, Miss McKesson, elected vice president of the Association of State Democratic Committees of State Party Executive Directors. Hardest working woman in politics, the elector. So congratulations, Precious. I will have to have her on too and tell us what all that is about, because there's a lot more to her job now than it was before. So we'll definitely see what's going on there. But appreciate that very much. As we said a little earlier, Miss Tamara Dwyer is coming on. She's from the city of Omaha Homeless Services Court. She's the Homeless Services Coordinator. Those of you remember that man running for office called her a DEI hire. That's who this woman is. So of course, every after he said that, everybody who knew her spoke up and was like, "She's doing an excellent job." So get off her back. So there you go, Buddy's back. All right, cool. Okay, all right.
Sorry. Hey.
Welcome back, Buddy. So another thing that's going on here coming up. Our friends over there at the skate school. These cats are putting a skate school on summer session. This is happening on May 31st through August 23rd. So there'll
Okay.
be a lot of stuff going on here. You can check in with them. You see that there's signups via QR code. This is over there in Friends of First Sky Omaha. You can hit that QR code, or you can hit it here if you can see it on the screen. $10 per session, or pay what you can. And it's going to be held at 730 North 78th Street, Omaha, Nebraska 68114, from 9 to 11 in the morning. So yeah, definitely check this out. If you got little ones, if you got some kids that want to get down, I think my nephew was getting some skating instructions. He was probably about 6 when he started, so you can start pretty
Dude,
young. Yeah.
you still get down?
Not so much. I mean, he's kind of an all around sports cat now. So he's doing a lot of throwing of the football and running of the track, and
Okay. Don't take
but he's
ski.
also doing some music, playing on the piano, and
It's only right.
going for it. It's that time.
Yeah. Is that the Bay Cats that does that?
The Baycats did that, but this one was Skate Fest, the Skate Fest brothers over there.
Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah, so we got a couple groups out here that we partner with that get down with getting the kids out. It's all about getting them kids out on stuff, man.
Man.
Some of them want to hunt and fish. Some of them want to play flag football. Some of them want to skateboard. So I have something for all of them. I can't wait till somebody does a video game camp so we can turn out some champions around here for real.
Hey, I did see something about a video game restaurant opening up pretty soon here. Yeah, I have to look into that.
Okay, that's what's up. Before we get to some of these comments that are out there, just want to throw a couple more haps that are out there. Of course, Untamed is doing their summer thing again over there at Assembly of the Saints every Sunday from 4 to 7. 20 weeks of summer fun. So this
Man.
is starting up at June 1st. Get down with brother Pastor Gary Ballard, Pastor Ballard, and also Untamed Sherman Wells. Definitely get down. I know that there's a lot of people already that are going to involve their kids and come through and get down with some of this community engagement that's happening over there. So man, shout out to the Assembly of the Saints, Pastor Ballard. Can't wait to have him on. Well, we need to have him on, man. Talk about
Man.
all the stuff that's
ASAP.
going on over there. You guys don't know about the resources happening over there at the Assembly of the Saints, for real.
Yeah.
So
Man. And to have a summer camp there is just that's exciting. Like like you saying, all the resources. I'm just thinking about it.
yeah,
Yeah.
big time, big time.
Shout out.
Moving along, we got a Malcolm X is still going on. There's a film screening happening May 30th, which is today, 6:30.
Hey.
6:30. Be there at 6:30, and then the start time is 7. A free public screening of Divisible. If you haven't seen Divisible yet, or if you've seen it and need to see it again, definitely go check it out. It's a documentary film focusing on the history and current impacts of redlining in Omaha. Discussion to follow. Definitely go check this out at the Shirley Tyree Theater. They're activating the space. I'm loving that they're activating the space over there, the Union for Contemporary Art. If you haven't been into the Shirley Tyree Theater, this is a good time to go see it. They are going to be able to show a film in there this time, so come on through. There's going to be refreshments, free parking, all kinds of stuff going on. So it'd be a good time to gather tonight. Weather's supposed to be decent. 6:30. Go on and check out Divisible at 7. Have some discussion and you activate over there on the Deuce. So shout out to Union for putting it down and partnering with Malcolm X Memorial Foundation. The Mex 100 Celebration of Life is going on right now, going down.
Man. The
One more
Deuce.
thing I keep on seeing right here, man, the Watu People Block Party, Stroll 19th Street, May 31st. This is the day after tomorrow. Filtration, the Filtration District. I don't know much about that side of town. I have to definitely check it out. But it says celebrate people, culture, and community. I've been seeing this float around a lot from some folks. They got DJs. You can see DJ lineup. There's a few DJs in there. I think I recognize Riz, the DJ Skyscraper, some cats that I know.
Yeah.
And Tyrone's storing Coco. I'm tripping. That's the homies too. Christina and Star Trek Rich's brother.
Man.
Getting
Also,
down.
Bucky P Casino Games. It was kind of
Mhm.
couple cats I know about.
Okay.
Bucky P, producer extraordinaire. Yeah.
Hosted by the Streets AR podcast with host Eric Ejiki and Clara Lee Blackstone. So that's what's up. Like, lots of good names on this flyer here. And I'd like to know more about it. If anybody can go to this and check it out, it might be something that they continue to do. The Watu People Black Block Party happening. Man, summer is heating up. Lots of stuff going on with summer in a big way. In a big way. That's that. I will come back to some more community updates soon, but I wanted to jump into the chat because it's kind of going off. Marlon Harrison is saying he got so heated and emotional, a few fights almost broke out, talking about the meeting at the 360 meeting that we're about to talk about. He says, and people threatened Brother Willie Barney's life for bringing Sheriff Hanson to the meeting to spread lies. Interesting. Willie Williams in town says, I am here. Can I get a sister get an interview? Our first national event is Monday. Blessings. Hey, what's going on, Willie Williams? I appreciate you. Our Southwest correspondent is in town. She usually comes in town around this time for Juneteenth. There is a big event coming up here. The Juneteenth flag raising ceremony and veterans luncheon is happening Monday, June 2nd. We still have one of the biggest Juneteenth celebrations around. So I really like it. Very excited about that. Let me get back to this. I'm trying to get rid of this comment here. There we go. Official flag raising ceremony, all welcome, honoring veterans and branches of the U.S. military. This is look at all these people who's in conjunction with, man. It's going down. The Black History Museum, Omaha Star, Union for Contemporary Art, Archwell Health. Lots of folks, lots of stuff going on here. So you can get a hold of her. As a matter of fact, Willie Williams, I see your address down there. Willie Williams 228. Is that 228 at Gmail?
Yeah. 228.
That's what's up. So yeah, this is going down. Yeah, we'll definitely talk to you. I'll hit you up, and maybe we can get you on early next week here and talk about some of the events that are going down for sure. So shout out. Appreciate you coming in this morning. Good morning to you. Michelle Moreno in the chat says, okay, I don't remember no fights wanting to break out besides the ones that the lady was coming after Sherman, but but that was resolved. I think he's saying that it was almost, it got that heated that it looked like it was people were about to fight. Looking at some of the video footage, I did feel that energy, like, whoa,
man, it was tense.
Very tense. Kimmer Snipes says, good morning. We were just talking about you. I'd love to have you on to talk about what happened at the 360 meeting. I don't know if you're free on Monday, but let us know because we'd love to talk to you about that. We definitely appreciate you being there. You're there all the time, so you're seeing some of these things. You had some really poignant comments to say too about what's going on.
Yeah, man.
Seeing as you are the one that's there every week, and you know, when you saw other folks show up and finally speak up, and you felt like, okay, finally somebody else can say something. So, love to talk to you about that for real. We'll definitely do it. Mark Manor in the chat says it's connected to the new Funny Bone in Miracle Hill. What's that? What's coming up there?
The arcade I was talking about. It says it's called Draftcade. Kind of like Beercade.
Okay,
a little bit close enough. But yeah, bar arcade gaming type situation.
Okay, I'm really down to check that kind of stuff out. I mean, so it's definitely something different for around here. So
yeah, man,
love to see it.
Actually, one of my favorite events down here in Atlanta is kind of that vibe. Video games, you know, some microbrewery type vibes.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Mark Mann said Tyrone Storm is Roger Lewis. Yeah, man, Star Trek Rich's brother. Knowing that they were brothers recently, or not recently, but like well into knowing both of them, didn't realize they were brothers. So that's what's up. Yeah, appreciate that minute information too. Black Dynamite in the chat saying good morning, y'all. We made it to Friday in my Anderson pack. Yes, Lord.
Yes, Lord.
What I'm supposed to do now? Sherman in the chat said that's not true. He said, Marlon, please call me. Oh, he's talking about things, people threatening life. Yeah, definitely check the statement. You guys have to have a discussion about that for sure, because that can get out of hand if people felt like there was an intense of going up and having some violence happen over there. So definitely do that. But yeah, a lot of male energy in the room. I definitely saw the footage. We'll be talking about it. Kimmer says, can we get an article that's just for kids? No alcohol? Ooh. Or arcade just for kids? Yeah. Like the old school at the mall.
Man, what you know about the tilt?
Look, bro. Look here, youngin. I was around when video games first started. When they was in the mall in the first place.
That's the only way to play, huh?
Shoebox full of quarters going down there and knocking it out. 7:16 right now, if you believe in the concept of time. We're going to jump into this. If you're just joining us, of course, we're going to have a special guest, Tamara Dwyer, in. She'll be coming in a little later on in the show. So please stay tuned for that and get your questions ready. It's the first time we're going to have somebody who's going to speak on the homeless situation,
man,
from an expert standpoint here. She's City of Omaha's Homeless Services Coordinator, and she'll be joining us a little later on in the show. So we'll jump into that. But before we get into the discussion, buddy, what's going to be a topic of conversation on your mind today? What's happening?
I mean, we already laid it out. People have already touched on it. Folks are already commenting, and that's what this platform is for. These types of moments, especially in community. Of course, there's been stories reported. I think KTV had reporters in the room. So yeah, there's individuals in the room and reports, but we want to hear from the community. We want to hear from the people that were there. That as Paul mentioned, Sister Camera is always there every week. Of course, individuals like Captain Q, Big Sherm, those brothers are always active in the streets. The community. Actually, shout out to Brother Leo Lewis for posting a video, kind of echoing some of my feelings as far as real people having real conversations to find real solutions to real problems, and that's what we're really doing over here at First Sky Omaha. So we'll be really talking about that. And I would love for those who were there or who have seen it and just kind of feeling your emotions again. That's the big thing. Just kind of let's decompress here. Try to make sense of it. That's the idea of First Sky. Where do we go from here is a big conversation. I do have some feelings about the direction and just where the focus has been over the last 24 hours or so, or 48 hours really. Paul and I talked about it. We're going to share our thoughts on that. But again, it's not just about us being talking heads. We want you, the public, to take advantage of this platform. And how do we feel about this situation? What are your thoughts? Definitely would love to hear from you, especially those of you who were there talking about all of this. Again, a very multifaceted situation, not just the emotions of what's going on, but a real conversation about community and police relations. Like that's a bigger conversation that needs to be addressed right now. And man, Kimra, I feel you. She says emotional is an understatement. When I walked out of 360 that day, I had to go to the bathroom and just cry and just let it out. And again, I understand, but we're here to talk about it and to provide a platform for us to continue to talk about it. So maybe that you're a little more distanced from the event. You have some different thoughts. We would love to hear them. And of course, as Paul mentioned, we do have the housing situation. We're still fighting the towers, getting some official information from Sister Tamara Dwyer. So again, we're going to spend some time talking about that. And that's pretty much the focus of the day, man. Want to give enough time to really dive into those conversations, not just gloss over things, but allow people to, again, feel heard. Let your mind be free. Let your voice be heard. In the meantime, between time, Paul B.
Yo.
What's the word, man?
Glad you're here today, Kimra. She says she also got current sheriff's deputies reaching out to her for information, giving her information. Yeah, it's crazy times. And I appreciate everybody that stepped up and is part of this. So shout out to you, Brother Sherman Wells, too, if you're still in the chat. Just appreciate everybody, man. Brother Shabazz that was there too. I saw a lot of faces there that that were chiming up and wasn't gonna let things be like it was. I mean, that's what it was. They didn't come there to fight. Willie Barney was doing a. I feel like he does a brave thing too with having that thing, because
Man,
it could go this way every week, bro. Like, it really could be something else, because there's a lot of heated emotions happening, and there's no place else that we could have went to be able to be up in front of Sheriff Hance's face and say something. So
my
shout out
thoughts
to
exactly.
everybody, everybody who put all the efforts out to get some a situation happening where they can have some conversation and get down to the bottom line on some things. So love to hear about it from you guys' perspective, and we will be talking about this. This is something that is big news in our community, and this is not just flash in the pan. I mean, not, no shade. Shout out to Waverly Monroe for putting the story out on Channel 7. Of course, shout out to Melissa Wright for covering so much of it in Channel 3. They'll be on. Unfortunately, those networks will be on to the next thing by next week. But we're gonna continue to
Man,
talk about this until we get some closure on what's happening in a big way.
man,
In a big way. So we'll
facts.
take a quick break and we'll come back and jump into the conversation. Again, you're listening to First Sky Omaha in the morning.
In the morning.
My name is Paul B. He's buddy to God.
Hey.
Stay tuned, y'all. We'll be right back. Real for real.
Lead poisoning in children under 7 is scary, but it's also 100% preventable. Not only can lead be found in paint and soil, it can be found in many common spices, certain baby foods, and brought home from job sites. Children with lead poisoning might not show any symptoms until their levels are dangerously high. So ask your healthcare provider for a lead test for your child. You can help prevent lead poisoning in children.
Shout out to Douglas County Health Department for that message. We're still battling all the lead situations that's happening, not just in your yards, but in your food, in the paint in your houses, all kinds of stuff. Shout out to them. And also shout out to the city of Omaha, who's doing a good job of trying to get this out of the soil so we can get back to planting in the yards again. So a lot of it has been done already. I would say maybe 90, 92, 93% of it has been done. There's still some yards out there. So if you're one of them, then definitely give this number a call. 402-731-3045. Get it tested. If there is lead, they'll do a soil remediation on your yard, and then put the yard back the way that they found it, nice with the grass and the whole nine. So let's make the moves to go ahead and get the lead out of North Omaha and South Omaha as well, man. Both of them places have very big industrial organizations that have been there over the years we've been living next to for so long. So
Man.
yeah, got to get it out. Shout out to them. Shout out to you guys in the chat, man. Going through, Kimber Snipe is giving some more information. She said, Penn said, "Y'all act like you're only killers in here. You're the only killers in here. Pray for our brothers out here taking the stand." Man, Michelle Moreno is saying, Kimber, when you hugged me, I felt it in my soul after the meeting. I'm telling you, appreciate you guys that showed up there for real. Kimber says, I
Yeah.
think people need to quit expecting Willie Barney to be an upstander. That's
Mm.
not his role. We'll definitely talk about that. We Aaron talks with him about coming on to the show, talking about some things too. So I'm glad you brought that up, because we can put that down on the list of things we want to talk to him about. What is your role? What's the role?
Man.
Marlon Harrison is back saying, I want to clear something up. No fights broke out during the meeting. He said, but the emotions, the energy was so high that it felt like something was about to pop off. Yeah, I think we got that. We definitely got your meaning when you said it the first time. I think I'm feeling like, because everything is so touchy, and because, law enforcement can try to act like people came up in there with violent intent, that
Man.
we definitely got to watch how we say it. But you're spot on, and you're here with fam, so you can say what you want. So I appreciate you coming back, clearing that up, and definitely we'll continue to have some conversation about it from your perspective as well, since you were there. So I appreciate you. Kimmer says, I needed them hugs. Michelle was heavy, and it was righteous anger.
Mm.
Yeah, big time. Anthony Rogers Wright says the whole country was on the next thing. That's why this keeps happening. Freedom Summer. Yeah, that's the point, man. That's why we're trying to battle this in the way that we are with media and news. because yeah, it's too easy to be on to the next thing. You know, you
Man,
on the same news show we hear about a brother of ours getting shot and killed by the police. 2 stories later, they talking about somebody's cat in a tree story, and
man,
it just bugs me in a big
it
way.
it just kind of hitting me like the intent behind it. You know what I mean? Like just a complete like you and I kind of go back and forth for whether we to identify as news or not, or how what that really means. But I think our style and approach is just so much different. It's the difference between I feel like like a lot of the news is just to inform you, and we're looking for understanding, which is
Right,
a whole thing beyond just being informed.
right. And we figured out that that's where our value lies. You know, these people are writing the articles that we're talking about, and the people even writing the articles ain't talking about it with the community as much as we are. So, you know, that's the point of this, and I think that's where the strength lies. And like I say, no shade. Shout out to the more I get to know some of these journalists over at the major stations, I know that they're suffering too. Shout out to, like I said, shout out to Melissa Wright. Shout out to Waverly Monroe. They feel these stories. Sometimes they got to pitch these stories. Some they're putting their heart into these stories, and they want to continue with these stories. But a lot of times the network says, "Hey, we got to move on from this." But a lot of times that leaves them feeling like, "Man, there's so much more to say here. It's messed up."
Man,
But they're not able to. So I have a different viewpoint that I had about mainstream media before, because I'm getting to know some of the actual players within it, and I'm seeing how they feeling, and I'm saying, okay, so it's a network thing more than it is a a journalist thing. I'll never forget that time that Kimber Snipes hit up what was the brother who wrote that article about the computers working in the towers and all that.
yeah.
She hit him up during the show, man, and he came back and was just like, "Hey." He's like, "This is what they told me I had to do." So, you know, we get more some insights here on that. So, I would definitely say, you know, maybe, you know, keep that in mind when we're looking through it. We look at the network news and the newspaper as reading between the lines. We have to kind of do that with
Man,
all of it in a big way.
man. So with that said, let's go ahead and dive into this because I think that's a perfect segue into how you and I kind of want to approach this conversation as far as reading between the lines of how it's been presented. And while I do appreciate and I'm with everybody as far as the show of masculinity, the show of protection of the community, the show of just a righteous voice in this situation. um I would like to know what was actually beyond the shouting and the checking of each other. Like, what did the sheriff actually say? What was admitted? What details of the investigation? What was learned from this meeting? So, a few of you in the chat were there. So I would love to hear your take on beyond just the tensions and the emotions. Let's get past that. Again, what was actually said? There's a mention of some lies, told by Sheriff Aaron Hansen. There is some admission, or there is some posts about him admitting to the whole warrant situation, and the fact that there wasn't a warrant before the shooting took place, and this whole cover up on the back end. If there's more information about that, maybe Sister Kimber, if you got some notes, I know it's highly charged, so maybe you didn't take notes in this one, but I'd definitely love to hear from that. But for those of you who, again, don't know about what happened, again, there was a group of individuals from the community led by Sherman Wells and Kasim Shabazz, brothers Sherman Wells and Kasim Shabazz, put some respect on their names to confront Sheriff Aaron Hansen, who is, again, the head of the Douglas County Sheriff's Office, the department that was responsible for the killing of Brother Ibrahim. And yeah, of course, we've been talking about it over the weeks, and here we are now 48 hours removed from this tense standoff. And yeah, my main question is, what's next? What comes out of this? Paul, I know you have some thoughts on this situation. I'll let you kind of get in before we get to our guests.
Yeah, I definitely will. I want us to kind of contemplate that. I appreciate everybody's comments. I'm seeing everybody. People are coming in. Shout out to Terry Crawford. She was there. I appreciate everybody's comments on this and what it was. And I appreciate your question. Let us know what was actually said and what was happening. Like I said, hopefully we'll get Miss Kimmer on Monday, if possible, to talk a little bit more about what actually happened in the meeting. Because I'd love us to take the weekend to kind of contemplate what's next. What's next moves? What does it mean? give us a little breath and time to think about what should happen next, what's going to go down. I know that there's some calls to action on some things.
Mm-hmm.
As a matter of fact, I saw something floating around about a meeting that's coming up where they're going to be talking about the sheriff's budget. So we got different avenues that we're looks like we're getting into to do some of these things. So we'll definitely be talking about it. And I love the fact that we kind of introduce this, and we'll come through and talk about it some more a little later on in the show. And also, like I said, it's going to be something that's going to be ongoing in the conversation here for the next week or two, at the very least, maybe till the end of our season here, because of how heavy everything is with this situation. So this is not just a heavy situation because of what happened, which is heavy enough, but it's also heavy because the community is speaking up, and this is the time. Like Sherman Wells is saying, like, we're not going away. This is not, you're not going to get by with this one. This is not happening. The family speaking out, and that's really the bottom line. How can we support this family? How can we take care of the family? And how can we make it so that we can stop this from happening? And what is it we actually need to do? You know, when I think about Sherman Wells and Untamed coming in, and I think about the BAA walking in the room, like Sherman saying in his comment, like, if they came there to fight, it'd be a fight. They didn't come there to fight. They came there to make some change happen. And we all should keep talking about it so we can kind of get on the same page of what is needed to make the change happen, and what we all can do to get behind the people that are pushing for the change, and be a part of that. So we'll definitely keep on talking about that, and move on with it, and get to some bottom lines here. I can't stress this enough. When you talk about that, what do you call it? The Briglia, the
Oh, Giggly or Brady list.
Giggly or Brady list, where I know a lot of the answer is going to be some independent oversight of what the police and the sheriff's departments do. I know they fight against that. They don't want none of that. They want to be ruling over folks, but like I heard yelled in the meeting. Y'all work for us, and you
Man.
can be killing our kids on our page, on our dime. It's not happening. We're going to take a break right now. It's 7:32 right now, if you believe in the concept of time. I know there's a lot more to talk about, but we had already asked Miss Dwyer to come and join us, and she's waiting in the wings. We're going to bring her in. A lot of the things that go down happen because of poverty in our community, man. And there's a direct tie between whether or not we have stable housing, we have stable income, and crime and things that are going down. This stuff is all tied together. So we definitely love to have her on. We'll take a little breather from this subject for a second and bring her on and talk about some things that are tied to it. And then we'll come back and talk about some more of this. And then, of course, that'll be our topic of conversation on Monday as well. So without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Miss Tamara Dwyer is in the house joining us. Good morning to you. How you doing?
Hello. Hi. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah,
Yep.
I can hear
Loud
you.
and clear.
Sometimes I have
Loud and
issues
clear.
with my microphone on this camera, so I wanted to make sure.
Okay.
Okay.
Appreciate you
Yeah.
making sure. We have issues with tech every day, so don't.
I bet.
A live show is something else.
Well, thanks
But
for having me. Thanks for inviting me on.
Yeah.
we've been wanting to talk to you. I appreciate it. I'm sorry that you coming in the middle of a community family discussion about some heavy things that's been going on. I know
Yeah.
you're part of it. You're part of the community as well. I'm not saying you're not, but it is definitely something that's heated right now in our community. That 360 meeting that just happened the other day was tremendous.
Yeah.
It's the
Yeah.
community speaking to law enforcement and so on. But again, I definitely feel like all these things are tied together.
Mhm.
Even the field that you're in. Let's go ahead and introduce you. As a matter of fact, if you could introduce yourself and tell us what you do, just for the people that don't know who you are, I appreciate
Yeah,
that.
no, absolutely. I'm Tamara Dwyer. I work in the mayor's office as the homeless services coordinator for the city of Omaha. I've worked in homeless services here in Omaha for about 14 years now. And we have worked everywhere from street outreach to supportive housing to shelters and all kinds of stuff. So I have a lot of experience and knowledge around that. So also a licensed social worker, licensed mental health therapist.
Wow.
And some of the things that we do in my role, I have one staff that works with me. He's our street outreach community liaison. So he does a lot of the boots on the ground work, but a lot of it that we do some trying to respond as a city, to unsheltered homelessness, especially on city property, because we see that a lot. And then also working with the different community service providers to connect folks to services, to try to make some of those processes easier for folks, and building more resources in the community for people, or helping programs that are wanting to do that. Lots of different things. It's pretty broad.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you have a lot of the credentials it would take to do something with this job. We don't have a whole lot of Jean Stothard fans here in this group, I
Mhm.
don't think. But we do say the one good thing she did was hire you, and she had your back when they were saying stuff about you as well. So we give her
Yeah,
some
thank you. I
props for that.
appreciate that.
Yeah, yeah. We have a tendency to joke about stuff around here, so I can ask you about how it feels to be a DEI hire and make a joke of
Yeah.
it. But I thought I thought maybe
Right.
I thought maybe I shouldn't do that. It might be a touchy subject for you.
No, I mean, I can joke about that. That's fine. Obviously, that person didn't know me. I mean, they did not know
Right.
anything about me to say that, because I have worked with lots of people in my career sector and have lots of respect, for the people, and
Mhm.
they as well have respect for me. So, I mean, it was kind of a very ignorant, honestly, comment to make.
I got a theory on this. I actually think that he saw your name and thought you was black.
It could have been. It could have been. I actually, lots of jobs I've had over the years, I've had people even say that to me.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny. It's a thing. It's
Mhm.
it's funny. It's a thing. It's a thing. But
Um,
but
but
yeah. Just wanted to acknowledge and just say, first of all, from my perspective, just welcome and thank you. We've actually been looking forward to
Yeah.
this conversation. As you mentioned, you have a lot of respect for your field and have a lot of respect in your field, and a lot of people have spoken very highly of you, especially on this show and in this chat,
Thank
just for the
you.
work that you do. So. Yeah. When he made the comment, it was kind of like the comment itself was a joke, So
Yeah.
yeah.
yeah,
I mean, clearly it was just kind of pandering to the audience in front of him is what it was
right, right.
doing.
Which turned out to be the wrong audience, as you
Yeah.
see.
Yeah, it backfired on him. I didn't get the chance to ask you. You born and raised in Nebraska? Where are you from? And what's your
So
background?
I'm not born, kind of raised. So I
Mhm.
moved into the Omaha area when I was in elementary school.
Mm.
So like 8 or 9, and lived here until I was about 20. I was originally born in Michigan. So
Okay.
then when I was 20, I had to actually flee some domestic violence and was
Mm.
homeless myself with a couple young kids at that time. So I went back home to Michigan. And then about 15 years ago, I came back to Omaha.
Okay,
Mm.
that was my next question. I was
Back
going to
and
ask.
forth. I'm all over now.
Yeah, no, you're Omahaan for sure.
Mhm.
But I definitely wanted to. I had heard that you had been homeless at one point too, and it kind of made me think. Oh, I wonder why if that has contributed to the passion that you have for what it is that you
Yeah.
ended up going into professionally and even educationally, your education levels as well too. So that's always good to hear. It's good to hear that you have all the credentials, but it's also good to hear that you have a personal reason for doing the things that you do, and
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
your passion
Yeah.
for
I
that.
mean, not only myself, but I've had, several family members, and my dad probably was one of, the transient guys that we say, who traveled across the country and just was homeless for many, many years.
Mm.
Now he is luckily in permanent supportive housing and has been for a few years in Michigan, but he spent a lot of years being homeless. And
Mm.
one of my younger sisters is in permanent supportive housing now around the Detroit area, where she experienced homelessness.
Yeah, I was just realizing that a younger cousin of mine last Saturday, I realized that he had been living in his car for a while and
Yeah.
I didn't know,
And
Mhm.
we see
uh,
that a lot more often, especially with families, because we don't have a lot of family shelter opportunities in Omaha. We see people living in their car, and a lot of folks don't think about that.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people just really, and on this show, I don't know how familiar you are with this show or how much you watch, but we really try to hammer, home like how thin of a line it is. Like
Mhm.
anybody can end up in this situation, especially going back to the pandemic. Seeing that how many families were a $500 emergency away from
Oh,
having
yeah.
to make real life decisions, and with you having lived experience, I'm sure your perspective and just you can see it differently.
Mhm.
So I'm kind of wondering, just from your perspective, what is the real you know, I don't even like to use homeless. I
Mhm.
have an idea that, you know, they are still, you know, all of our brothers and sisters at least have a home in our hearts.
Yeah.
So you know, what is the houseless situation in Omaha really?
Yeah. So I could get into the data a lot about
Okay.
homelessness here in the Omaha metro. So when we look at the data that they make us, you know, gather, they started that back in 2007, and it covers a 3-county area. So the federal government mandates that we look at the 3-county area, which is Pottawatomie County, Douglas County, and Sarpy County. And in 2007, that was our highest. There was about a little over 1,800. That was our highest population of people experiencing homelessness. And there was a dip, I don't know, in the early 2010s or so. A few years after they started collecting data, there was a dip down really low. And that was partially due to lots of things, maybe including, you know, having the capacity within the system, but also, you know, staff were just using those metrics and those data systems. And also we got a lot of supportive housing dollars from the federal government. That was when it kind of was first introduced around that time, transitioning from transitional housing, and they started funding supportive housing. So we had a lot of housing opportunities to house people. So that kind of contributed to that dip. Now, over the years, it's gradually increased. So about 10 years ago, you know, the overall homeless population has been pretty steady. The growth, I analyzed the data over the last decade, and of the 3-county population, you kind of got to do it a different way because our metro statistical area, or whatever you call it, is a bigger area than the homeless population, where they do the count for the homeless population, the census. So you have to kind of manually do some of that stuff. But the population growth is very similar. It kind of mirrors each other when you look at the general population and the population experiencing homelessness. It's just under 1% for both of those populations over the course of about a decade, what I looked at. And the population within that, so if you look, you know, how many people within the population are experiencing homelessness, that's also pretty similar. In 2013, it was like 1.80 or 1.84%. And then in 2024, it was 1.80. It's very similar. It doesn't change a lot. Now, the thing that we saw the change with was the unsheltered population, right? So people who are on the streets, sleeping in the car, sleeping in abandoned buildings, that's the big increase. Not the overall increase doesn't mirror that trend. So people all over in shelters and unsheltered. So I think there's a lot of things that we can dig into about that. That doesn't necessarily mean that our homeless population is increasing more than it normally has. That's not what our data is telling us. But with people being on the streets more often, or, you know, in bigger groups or whatever, not being able to go into shelter, that kind of speaks to the ability for people to access shelter, right? So why aren't they going to shelter, or why aren't they able to go to shelter? And that's a totally different conversation than, oh my gosh, I see all these homeless people everywhere and it's getting out of control, right? Our trends don't really indicate that for our data. So the piece that I always tell people is we have a system that has functioned at or just below, like right at capacity for a number of years, for the majority of time that we've been tracking it. And while we've gotten some supportive housing resources and maybe outreach resources here and there, and, you know, when those new programs were introduced, we haven't gotten like significant increases to those things. So with the population growing, we see the homeless population growing, or people experiencing, you know, first-time homelessness even, but the resources aren't growing with that, right? the affordable housing, the supportive programming. So then that's where the capacity keeps getting, squeezed in so tight. Yes. So that's kind of where I believe we see some of those resources, because one of the subgroups that we see a increase in consistently over the years, or has been, is chronic homelessness. So someone who has a disabling condition or a long time homeless. And if you see an increase in that, that means typically what is happening is that people are coming into your homeless system and they are not able to access resources, and then becoming chronically homeless due to that length of homelessness increasing because there's no resources for them.
Interesting. I'm gonna take a break real quick.
Sorry, I can talk forever. So
yeah, no, it's good. It's good. You got the data. Willie Williams in the chat is asking, really would like to your contact info. She says, I work with homeless in Albuquerque. This is great. You have email address I can throw in the chat real quick for her to
yeah. It's Tamara, Tamara .Dwyer, DWYER at cityofomaha.org. And I'm more than happy to. I work with and have talked with several other communities across the country, leaning on some of those national networks to see what's working and what's not, and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I want to dive in a little bit with you, but while we got you here though, so we can talk about some of the data. But I'm wondering some things like, what is your office actually doing for people who are houseless? What change have you seen in the current administration as far as federal help is concerned? Where does the money go? What does the money go to help people in those types of in the weeds things there? If you could answer those.
So we have a few different federally funded streams of money, I guess you could say, that serve specifically homeless people. Within the city gets an allocation of the Emergency Solutions Grant money, or ESG, it's commonly called too. And there's not a lot that comes into Omaha because our population has consistently been low compared to other major cities. And that's with the federal money, they kind of have a metric, their calculations go off of population and all of that kind of stuff, and how many people experience homelessness. So that ESG money goes towards shelters. I believe we have also funded street outreach in the past.
You said street outreach?
Yeah, street outreach and rapid rehousing, but typically it goes to shelters because there's not a lot. So there's a couple different shelters that get that Emergency Solutions Grant money. We also have Continuum of Care grant money from the federal government, not through the city. It goes through our Continuum of Care agency, which is the threshold, or previously known as Match is what they were previously known as. I worked for them for quite a few years too. When I was working after I worked in shelters. But what happens is they're like a collaborative applicant on behalf of the community. They apply for those funds every year, and then the funding gets distributed directly to the partners. And that money has increased over the years. But of course, like I said, it's not a lot because of our low population consistently. Now, the Continuum of Care dollars that come into the community, it funds, things, of course, like data support planning, for those groups that do the collaborative planning, but also it funds permanent supportive housing and rapid rehousing. That's where a lot of that, they don't fund shelter operations or that kind of stuff. So it's really it's housing focused. So getting housing out there to people. There's permanent supportive housing, rapid rehousing through a few different providers. We also have some dollars within those Continuum of Care grant money that is for domestic violence, rapid rehousing for people who are experiencing domestic violence, which is also within the definition of homelessness, someone who is fleeing domestic violence or even attempting to flee. They are considered homeless, regardless, wherever they're living, they would be considered homeless under the definition.
Wow. So
Hmm.
just so I can understand, some of the when you say rapid rehousing or some of these dollars
Mhm.
that go to that, that means that that money goes to paying for housing that you can now put these people in, or does the money go directly to them to pay for housing, or how does that
It
work?
goes to the programs. It goes to the agencies. So, for instance, we'll say Together Omaha has a rapid rehousing program. Okay, so they apply through the continuum of care. The continuum of care sends the application onto the HUD people in the federal atmosphere, and when they're awarded, Together is awarded the money. So it might support staff, it might support rental assistance or
Mm.
whatever is needed to run that program or partially
And
run
then the
that
program
program.
is the one that reaches out to the
Yep.
people and brings the
Yep. And
people in.
yep. So those programs go through a system called coordinated entry. So it's like a vulnerability assessment, housing assessment. Anyone who is, within the different homeless service providers, they can give the people they work with this housing assessment, and then they go on a list, of course, because that's all we have is lists for people to wait on.
Mhm.
And that scores the vulnerability as defined by the community. Each community defines who the most vulnerable are, and so it's like a dynamic prioritization where as they are scored, whoever is the top highest vulnerability, they would get the next opening, and it would go to that person.
Hmm. How long
Okay.
how long is a typical wait on that list?
It kind of depends because it is it's not a first come first serve list. It's
Mm.
Mm.
if I was scored on that list and I had a high vulnerability score,
Mm.
and I've been on it for 6 months, who knows, due to openings, people may not be moving off of it fast, and then you talk to someone and you're homeless and they do that assessment on you and you have even more vulnerabilities than me and you're above me, and then
Mhm.
you get the next. It just kind of depends because of that the dynamic situation of it.
Just kind of
who does
needs
the
based.
assessment?
All of the different service providers.
Okay, so your office doesn't
Yeah,
do.
yep, we can do assessments, the different shelters, street outreach, any kind of walk-in. I can, if you go to Threshold COC, their website, they have this resources that it says access points. That's a good list of a lot of the different agencies that do like those assessments. People
Mm.
can do walk-in, if they need an assessment done.
I see Dave Pontos Esquire, put some respect on his name
Yeah.
in the chat. Shouting out Threshold represent.
Oh.
Yeah.
So
Oh.
let me get one more in before you get.
Okay. Okay.
So but without trying to get you in trouble, because this sounds like a whole bunch of hoops. We call them hoops around
Oh,
here.
yes.
Without trying to get you in trouble
Oh.
with your job, where can we be thinking the same thing probably? Where can you where do you see that that your office and your connection to these other offices and these organizations are inefficient
Man.
with
Mm.
solving some of the things that are going on? Like I said, we're
Ooh.
not trying to put you on the hot seat. We don't want to get you fired.
Yeah. No, I get it. I talk about inefficiencies all the time. I think that one of the biggest things is staff capacity. There's not enough staff to take on the level of need for the people that we're seeing, especially on the streets. Like people who are experiencing unsheltered homelessness or street homelessness is a whole different type of people that are in shelters. Okay,
Mhm.
that are
Mhm.
able to stay in shelters or able to access shelters. And those folks really need intensive services. They need a lot of intensive support. They might even need several months of just relationship building. There's a lot of harm that people feel that has been done to them, a lot of distrust, engaging in not just the homeless sector system, but many other systems across our community.
Mhm. The
Right. I
society.
mean, a lot of times, we come across people who maybe were in foster care for their whole life, and they're like, I'm not working with anyone. I'm sick of working with case managers. I'm sick of
Right.
nobody ever helps me. Some veterans that we work with because of maybe some things that they had experience at the VA. They don't want to work with people, and they're, so a lot of relationship building comes out of that.
Mhm.
But I think the biggest thing is the staff capacity, and then the amount of resources that are lacking, or housing that is lacking in the community. Once we get people into housing, it's really hard to connect them to services because they're kind of fragmented all over the place, and getting them services that can either come to them or that are really close to housing, that's a tough thing sometimes.
Okay.
Man.
Sounds like it. So when you talk about lack of staff, you're talking about in your particular office to reach out to these folks?
No,
or you're talking about-
no, all over. I mean, including my office, I would say, I mean, if we had more people helping us, we do encampment safety assessments that we built our encampment response, added an assessment to it last year. It took the majority of the year. We piloted it and everything. And it was pretty successful at kind of helping us prioritize, because we get lots of reports in. And for City of Omaha property, I mean, we're 2 people and we can't prioritize every single location if we have 20, 30 different spots on our list, so we had to have a way to be able to prioritize. So safety was the most logical thing. Let's do a safety assessment. It's a pretty thorough, lots of questions, and it scores it. And so that kind of tells us which one has the most safety concerns, so that we would focus on that first. Now, the beginning of this year, not the beginning, about in March, we started kind of piloting. And I say pilot loosely because there's not really any kind of funding or anything tied to it. But we started testing out this direct to housing model for encampments. And through some other national initiatives and things, I came across a couple groups that were doing this sort of similar thing in other areas that have lots more people on the streets that are experiencing homelessness, but it was working for them. So I was like, well, why don't we try it out here? So we started it in March. We initially wanted to do a 6-week closing. So the goal of that is they close every encampment that they work with, but at the end of it is housing. So they're not just moving people around the city.
Okay.
So
wondering about that. So
yes.
Yeah.
So they have a plan for the people. So our current encampment response is really a plan for the location or the property or the area. And we have to have a plan for the people. So I was looking for what are we going to do? Because not giving people an option to go somewhere to go, not helping people isn't really solving the problem. We're just moving it around the city. I've said for many years that Omaha is really, really good at managing homelessness, but it really struggles with ending homelessness. So getting to the part, well, let's house these people. So we got some folks together who were willing to spend some time without some funding to maybe coordinate some things to work with one of the encampments that are on city property. And granted, this model was used in other cities with large encampments, 50 to 100 people. We don't have large encampments in Omaha. Our average, when we did our safety assessment, is about 2 to 4 people average size. There have been some, I think as many as 15 people that we've seen, but for the most part, they're small. So we had a camp that had about 8 to 10 people. Some come and go, but we'll look at the regulars. We're there every single day. We're still doing it. We're almost done. We have a few more people left to get into housing, but we had to be very consistent and, supportive and building relationships with the folks that are at that camp. So every single day, a regular time, we have our street medicine folks come out with us. We had Charles Drew come out one time and get everyone signed up, coming there, bringing the resources to them. We had general assistants working with them. That was the main piece for housing and That's what took a lot of time, because you have to wait to get your intake done. You have to wait to get approved, all that kind of stuff. But it's been going fine. And everyone there, except for one person, initially wanted someone to help them. But usually people that they work with, they're just so over capacity, they're not able to be there every day and, keep working along, so they don't see them every day. But we were able to be there every day. And once they realized, wow, they are coming every single day, maybe they are going to continue, right? But I mean, it's been an interesting process where we'll have to make some adjustments to it, but it's working really nicely. And one of the people that live in the camp had told us a couple weeks ago that he had said, I just want to tell you all, thank you for coming and just talking to us like we're people, because nobody ever does that.
Wow.
That part.
Yeah.
Let me jump in here.
And I'm like, what am I going to do? Just stare at you?
Right. It's 8:00 right now. We usually are shutting the show down here at this point in time. So we appreciate you coming on to visit. We'll have to have you back and talk a little bit more about that. If you can hang with us for just one more minute here, because I want to do some of this rapid fire questions that are happening in the chat, and also I kept cutting Buddy off the whole time you were talking to. So,
Buddy, give me no time. Give me no time.
Listen, I can talk a lot too. So
let me gather these questions together, Buddy. You got something for her while I get that together?
Obviously, as Paul mentioned, we're gonna have to bring you back. Like, this conversation isn't anything that can be, even scratched as far as the surface in the course of 30 minutes. There's a lot that I am learning through this conversation, so I do thank you, especially just how we view homelessness and just the different tiers of it, as far as someone who is in a shelter versus someone who is on the street. Some of the more visible things we might see, and some of the things we might not see. And then just how we have the conversation. So I do appreciate that. I did actually want to kind of dive into some more specific things, but I think it might be better to bring you back for those things. Of course, we have questions about City View. I wanted to ask you
about City View too.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you're the one we would definitely love to have the conversation with. Of course, the bed bug situation, Pillin just vetoed that. Wanted to get your take on that. But we can address all those things, at a later time. One of the big things about this platform is allowing the people to speak to the officials and have their voices heard as well. So, Paul, if you got some questions, we can go ahead and just address that.
Yeah, I'm going to jump into a few rapid fire questions there. This is I'm looking at your visit this time as kind of establishing like what you do and what the parameters are and stuff, so we can understand. And the questions will come, and then the tie-ins, so like what Buddy's talking about, will come too. So we'll definitely have to have you back. Von Chapman in the chat is saying, good morning. How are donations from the philanthropic community measured? Do you get a lot of, is that part of your funding?
So a lot of different organizations do get philanthropy, money from philanthropy. I've heard from other communities that Omaha is really lucky to have as much philanthropy as we do. And, I know they contribute a lot to homeless services. I don't know if there's anyone measuring exactly what that amount is. But I do know that a lot of our organizations are well supported by philanthropy throughout the community.
So once again, you're from the city. You got a 2-man team. You guys were appointed by Stothard, and the city is overseeing what's going on with these different nonprofit organizations that are the organizations that are helping the situation, and you're helping them get funds so that they can continue to help and so on. And so when we talk about philanthropy dollars, it doesn't go to your office; it would go to these organizations that
are connecting them to, if they want to do different programs, connecting them to that. A lot of them already have really rich networks of donors, and Threshold, the agency Threshold, the continuum of care, is really the overseer, the umbrella agency for all of those homeless service providers. So kind of the stuff that I'm doing is like coordinating and collaborating that well, but also making sure that within the city, we're unified in our response for homelessness and then working outward, right? Because it was very fragmented before. Everybody kind of were doing their own thing. So trying to keep the city departments unified as well. And how we work with the community.
People working in silos seems to be an Omaha thing.
Yes.
The theme for here.
Everywhere.
Man.
Wanda Lewis in the chat is saying, my question is, where are all the shelters for the homeless? Why are all the shelters for the homeless in certain parts of the city, particularly north downtown? Have it ever been considered to create a shelter for the west part of the city? Sharon Hansen packed the homeless people up, threw away their tents and other belongings, redirected them to the northeast part of the city, although it's known that there's limited accommodations. So this is speaking to something that we've been. I'll let you answer her question, but we've also been wondering these things because we report on these homeless shelters and camps that are just getting ran over and people thrown out, and the story always ends there. We
Yeah.
don't know what's happening to them
Yeah.
next. This is the first time I'm hearing that you even have a program that when those shelters get broken up, then you're actually putting these people in houses. First time I ever even heard
Yeah.
that.
We just started it. I haven't really talked about
Okay.
it a lot because we're testing the waters.
Okay, so before then, it probably was the case that when law enforcement would go in and break up these camps,
Mhm.
they would just shuffle people to another
Yeah.
side, another part of town. Do you
Mhm.
where do you see answering her question? Well, let me just let her question go, and maybe you can just answer that. So, has it been considered that to create shelters in the west part of the city? Why do all the shelters are in homeless shelters in a certain part of the city, particularly north downtown? Why is that the case there? I know your department didn't put those in place, but why does it seem to be that on the north side of town that's where all the homeless people all around get sheltered to?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not too sure on the historical context. I know a lot of those shelters have been here for 40 years.
Mhm.
Maybe that was the need that they saw at that time. I will say, however, shelters don't end homelessness.
Mhm.
If we put all of our money in shelters, we are just housing homelessness.
Right.
Mhm.
We're just like, congregating it. The most affordable, fiscally responsible, whatever you want to say, and successful intervention for homelessness is housing. And if we put more money into shelters cost more.
Right.
Jailing people, jails cost more.
Mm.
But what people need is housing. When we say, someone needs food or needs water or needs medical care, we give those things to them. But for housing, for some reason, we don't just give people housing. We don't help them with housing. We think it's something else. But at the end, and generally wouldn't be supportive of increasing the shelter system. I would be more supportive of increasing affordable housing for people.
Yeah,
Mm.
getting down to the solution there.
Man.
Gwenny's here in the chat is asking, how does other housing organizations who are not on your agency list to refer individuals who domestic violence situations? You understand the question?
Yeah. So, if outside of the network, anybody can refer people to domestic violence. I know that Heartland Family Service and Catholic Charities Omaha and the WCA all have 24-hour crisis hotlines. And that's a really good avenue for people to get referred to any of those agencies. And I don't know if you want me to share any kind of like flyers or something with
Please
you.
do. Please
Yeah.
do.
But you can also someone can go onto the Threshold Continuum of Care website, thresholdcoc.org, I believe it is. And under their resources, they have links for like a street outreach flyer and an access point flyer, and it'll have that information there too as well. And
Nice.
easy, if you don't know, you can call 211 and 211 can give you that information.
Okay.
Nice.
Sounds good. I'll put that website, that Threshold website, in the chat for you guys to click on that and check it out. Appreciate it. Gwenny's here followed up saying many shelters tell families they have no beds available if they call. If they show up, they all of a sudden have a bed available. So sometimes it's better to show up than to try to reserve
Yeah,
something.
I've experienced that too when working with people. I don't know, it's always just been better if you go there, right, than calling. I don't know why that is, but I do know for family shelter, it might not be because we don't have a lot of family shelter. We have very little in
Mhm.
our community. Lydia House at Open Door Mission
Mhm.
is probably our biggest or have the
Yeah.
most space available for families. Micah House in Council Bluffs also, they're a family shelter and single women. But other than that, Stevens Center does have some family bed availability, but not a lot, right? So we do have really, really limited options for families.
Man.
How many off the top of your head, what would you say the percentage of kids that are homeless?
Oh, I actually know this.
You got the
because I look at the numbers constantly. For 2024, we had 1,609 people experiencing homelessness in our community, in shelters, in transitional housing, and on the streets. Of that 1,609, now I am going to forget the raw number, but I know the percentage. There was about 13 or 14% of those were families. It was a family situation, and about 14 or 15% were children under the age of 18.
Yeah.
So right around 200, around that area, around that was a little around 200 kids, and I think it was 150, 170 families, something like that.
Wow. And again, there's no program come out of your office or anywhere else that's just giving people money to handle their own business.
Yeah. So what we're doing is we're coordinating. Yeah. We're coordinating with the different service providers to access the resources that are already available in our community, but not anything specific to directly help people.
Well, we appreciate it. Like I said, we'll definitely have to have you back and talk more about this. I'm sitting here wondering now, going down the rabbit hole of like services. We just did some work with Metropolitan Community College's 180 RAP program, and so we're seeing they had a program there called the Life Program, where individuals are coming out of incarceration and they had nothing, so they had to try to set them up with homes to go to. But not just homes, resources, rides to jobs, everything that you would need to start over again. And I can imagine it's the same style that goes on with people who are houseless in the same way. They don't just need a house; they need the ability to pay turn the lights on.
Some people just need someone to care about them. Honestly, to start, that helps so much.
Yeah. That's kind of where my mind is when you talk about housing programs. Like, what does that look like? How long does that support last before they're kind of sent off from their own devices? And beyond that, you mentioned just the affordable housing. There's so many questions about that. As far as what that looks like from your purview. What does we're still trying to get a real definition of what affordable housing even is. This 30% of one's income doesn't seem to really. It doesn't seem to satisfy the need for actual definition or what this thing really looks like. So yeah, again, a lot of questions still to be asked, and a lot of more conversations still to be had. But we're running late, Paul. What you thinking?
Yeah. Let's go ahead and let her off the hook. We asked her to come on for about 15 minutes, and here we are 45 minutes later. So we appreciate you coming through and answering some questions, and really look forward to speaking to you again about that. I think that we'll have some more pointed questions when you come back too, to really try to figure out how to get to the bottom of this. And like I said, I'm not sure if you're familiar with what we do here at the show, but it is kind of an evergreen, ongoing conversation that we have when it comes to homelessness. Our next season that starts January or July 15th is called Space is the Place. So it's all about our spaces in Omaha. We'll be talking a lot about homes, homelessness, houselessness, affordable housing, and just people in general who are one paycheck away from being on the street. So we'll be tapping you all through that season to kind of get some answers.
I'm definitely open to it.
Appreciate that.
Okay, nice.
Appreciate that very much. Well, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you,
and enjoy the rest of your day. It was very nice to meet you, and we'll look forward to talking to you again.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.
All
right, talk to you soon.
All right.
Okay.
Slowly but surely gonna get some questions answered there on what's going on with the
city, man.
situation in a big way. Yeah, man, for real. Appreciate your questions. I was waiting for somebody, RG or Black Dynamite, to talk about this second hour.
Yeah, they gonna let us hear about it every time.
We're gonna take a quick break, and then we're gonna come back and wrap up the show. I appreciate you guys staying a little later with us today. Definitely wanted to give her some time, though. It doesn't make any sense just to have her on and not be able to get down to the bottom of some questions. So I appreciate us being flexible enough to stay on. But stay tuned. We'll be right back. You're listening to First Sky Omaha in the morning.
My
name is Paul B. He's Buddy the Guy. We'll be right back.
Hey, Paul B.
What's the house? What's happening? What's going down? What's the house? What's happening? What's going down?
Yo, man, CeeLo. I forgot CeeLo Green coming to town, bro.
Man, let me tell you, man. Let me tell you. Goody Mob just had a tribute show where they all performed together down here in East Point. The show was free, and I missed it, man.
You missed it.
I missed it, man. I missed it.
Look, listen. You go on, move back to Omaha then if you're gonna be out in Atlanta missing stuff like that.
I missed it, man.
Bro, I saw the deal, bro. I saw the footage and I was hyped. I stood up off the couch like, my boys. Goody Mob is one of my when I tell you, we talk a lot about Outkast being the influence back in the day. There wasn't the influence was the South. The influence was Goody Mob, Outkast, Killer Mike. There was the I remember when it took a turn, bro. I remember. And I'm old enough to remember this now because I came up in the 80s. So it was Rakim. We was swagging out East Coast. Big Daddy Kane, who had dancers. We was all dancing because Big Daddy Kane and them and Heavy D and them had dancers, bro.
Yeah.
And then G thing dropped. And then all of a sudden everybody took off them hammer pants and put on khaki pants and started being gangsters. And the whole shift changed. A whole thing changed out there in the West Coast. And then the South had something to say. And then everybody started rapping like Big Boy and everybody started rapping like CeeLo and them. It was a distinct change in style that reached all the way to the West Coast. And now you're sitting in the epicenter of it. Wait, hold up. And now you're sitting in the epicenter of it. And anyway, yeah. Long story short, there's gonna be so much to bring and talk about this. There's gonna be so much to talk about when it comes to what's going on here and what it means, and how they made the moves they made and did what they did. It's huge, bro. It's huge. And today, is this today? What day is this?
No, it's August. It's August 30th.
Oh, okay. See, I'm jumping the gun. I'm so excited. I'm like, it's the 30th. It's today. It ain't today. It's August. This Unity Fest, first of all, is something that is really interesting because I had no idea there was a Unity Fest, free event meant to unite North and South Omaha communities. This is what we've been working on for a while ourselves.
Man,
so the fact that there's a whole East Side. So the fact that the Unity Fest exists in the first place and they're bringing CeeLo, come on, man, and it's free. We gonna be there. We gonna be there. And now you gonna have to come out here for this too. Now that you done missed the.
Yeah, man. I got to catch one of these free CeeLo shows, man. Too many going around in my towns, and I'm missing them.
Bro. Don't forget. Oh, man, hey, RG saying it. Don't forget about Master P. Took over the late 90s. Look, bro, the South, the Pop said, Dirty South. Dirty South, yes. Listen, bro, my pops was listening to Dirty South music. That's how hard it hit the West Coast.
Man,
you know what I'm saying?
Man, we're just having a conversation last night about Master P and how he saved Snoop. How he said they was trying to extort Snoop. He came through and saved Snoop. Speaking of that, Snoop got a new album, Coalition pushing it. The team is pushing it. Check it out. Yeah, man.
The second hour, we might need to do a second hour. Music business second hour. What y'all say to that? Here's our man. He said, starting the day, I ain't messing with y'all. Man, I appreciate you guys coming through, man. I appreciate everybody who came through with questions and comments. And stuck with us on this too. I know that we started talking a lot about what was going on at the 360 meeting. We'll continue that conversation Monday in a big way. But I'm glad that you guys let us have a little time to spend with Miss Dwyer because we've been wanting to talk to her about the situation. It's all tied together, man. Spaces, the place is coming up next season. We're gonna talk more about homelessness, housing, affordable housing, development. What the land bank is doing again, just everything that has to do with where your space is here and what space are you occupying here. We're even going to talk about where the diaspora is in this city right now. Like Brother Anthony Rogers Wright hit us too, the statistic that there's more white folks in North Omaha than black folks there are now. What does this all mean? What does this all mean as far as space is concerned, and what can we do?
What does it all mean? Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
man. So we got a lot to talk about with this, and we'll bring her back and talk about it more. And then, like I say, Monday we'll pick up the conversation. I'll talk to Brother Sherman Wells, Brother Kasim, Kimmer Snipes, everybody who might want to come on to the show and talk a little bit about more about what happened. And then we'll also have some more answers on movement by that time too. By Monday, I'm sure that there's gonna be some talks over the weekend about what's gonna happen next with this fight out here. Them brothers are
Man.
calling it a war. We in a war. And we
Man.
need to hear from some more people. I'm going to reach out to Willie Barney today as well. We got to reach out to everybody involved here and figure out where we can go because emotions are high, of course, as they should be. Nobody should have low emotions about a young brother being killed in our community and not getting any answers, and this not being the first time this has happened. Yeah, the fight is always there to fight how we're being policed.
Man. Well, I kind of I want to, before we get out of here, acknowledge what Brother Sherman Wells said as far as their intent and kind of round back and finish with that. Because, and be careful using the word fight. We do know it's a fight. We do know it's a war going on. We're out here outside that nobody can run from.
Mm-hmm.
But again, Brother Sherman Wells setting the record straight. He says, I wish you would stop saying fights almost broke out. We did not come to fight because if we did, that's what would have happened. I'm not sure if it's your first time seeing black men aggressively approach a situation like that, but to keep saying fights almost broke out is pushing a false narrative, and nobody threatened his life for bringing Henson, there because he or people from the sheriff office is always there. Willie got checked for doing what Willie and people in that always do, which is trying to block the police from community accountability, which again is why Brother Sherman Wells and Kasim Shabazz and others were there to hold public officials accountable, not to start a fight, not to start a war, not to be violent, but to hold people who take our tax dollars accountable.
There you go. And again, this is our show. This is the fam. You can express yourself and say what you want to say. We know that the feeling that something could have broken out. I definitely watched the thing and thought, man, it could have
It's
came
going
to
down.
blows. It could have came to blows. But it is a lesson in being careful on what words to use while we're in the situation, while we need to be communicating about the situation, and while the scrutiny is happening. All eyes are on each other on this stuff.
Man,
So
man,
yes, let's be careful with our words, but let's not stop ourselves from expressing ourselves too. Brother Harrison came back and he said what he said. He said it felt like a fight was going to break out. Not that a fight was going to break out, or not that it did break out, and not that it came there to have an actual physical fight. But we are in the sense of the word fight. We are in a fight with law enforcement to stop killing babies and to
period.
police in a way that needs to be policed. In that sense, we're in a war with them on that. And that's what brother Wells says. So we are going to be careful with our words and make sure that everybody stays safe and doesn't get in trouble. Over they don't try to take something out of context and try to be aggressive against the people that are speaking up against them. But I'm proud of the brothers that did what they did and went up and said what they said with the force that they needed to say it and the emotion they needed to say it. And now it's a question of now that they know exactly how we feel, what are we going to do about it? What's going to happen now? Because and it's not just up to what we going to do about it. They got to do something about it too. They got to stop all this mess.
That part.
Yeah.
So we'll be talking about it Monday.
We'll be talking about it Monday. Appreciate y'all for real. Back in the law enforcement saying, right, ghost, not the ghost listeners. Ghost listeners get down. Archie says, and like y'all mentioned, a ghost listener could get back to law enforcement saying the fighting was the intent. It's the monitoring spirits that will go back and say that. Our ghost
Right.
listeners are just cats that are on our side that just don't speak in the chat, but they listen and they support and they spread the word. Those are the ghost listeners. The monitoring spirits are the ones that are peeping it out, would never tell us they're doing that and go back and snitch. That's
Yeah,
monitoring spirits, right?
yeah.
And you're right, that does happen. Where we decided to make this a public situation here, and so that we can all talk and it can be watched by everybody. So you're right. That's why we are gonna be careful. Be careful with our words. Be careful what we got to say, and be straight up and be 100 about what we're saying, because it is going out to people who are listening and carrying that word back. You're absolutely
Man.
right.
But we do need this platform to be public so we can have that record straight, so nobody can misconstrue our words. So again, we appreciate the conversation here, and we might need to find some back channels to really figure out what's next. But we're gonna keep on keeping on.
There you go. Thanks. I appreciate y'all. Y'all, buddy, got some final words for the folks. We're gonna get out of here.
Man, I mean, you asking that question, I might end up giving Black Dynamite and RG what they want, Oh man, the thing is, man, we appreciate everybody just coming to this platform that we've built and helping it become what it is, because at this point it's all of ours. It's kind of out of our hands right now. We're just trying to hold the reins and make sure this thing keep moving forward, man. So again, we appreciate, love, and thank everybody for tuning in. A big shout out to Miss Tamara Dwyer for coming through and speaking to us. Hopefully we will be able to speak to you again very soon. And of course, all of you, check us out. It is Friday. Look out for a weekly wrap. Catch the same time, same place, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, right here on First Sky Omaha in the morning. Paul?
In the morning.
Hey, there you go. I'll go ahead and take us away, man.
Right on, man. I kind of agree with Buddy, but I also kind of disagree. This show is not quite out of our hands. This is still our show.
Hey.
Don't come here with no mess.
Hey,
Brother Wells, final statement here says, as I get prepared to go out and meet up with the lawyers for Cameron Ford, I just want to come back to the show just to express that I love Brother Marlon, and he did speak up against the situation. Yeah, Brother Marlon was in the house too, bro. He says, as a black man, that's the community putting our lives on the line. We get a ton of scrutiny from so many racist folks, and I agree the energy was high and may have felt like a fight could break out, but it was not our intent. And the energy we brought was very, very intentional. See, that's why I love Brother Wells and Brother Harrison in this show and our platform, because that's what I'm talking about. When I get choked up when I see men giving honor to other men that way and coming back and communicating well. And you can say, hey brother, don't say that, and then Marlon can come back and say, yeah, I meant this, and then the other brother can come back and say, all right, cool, love you, and now we're on the same page. I mean, that's what we're looking to do every day right here.
That's it.
What just happened there, that's it. So we'll continue with that energy and make it happen. Pop says, great week of shows. See you all Monday. Appreciate you, Pops. Appreciate everybody that came through. Shout out to the Omaha tribe elders for allowing us to be on this land in the first place and speak while we're here. Shout out to our elders allowing us to speak before you. Shout out to you, the chat chimers, allowing us to speak with you. We appreciate all of your comments, your questions. We appreciate you spreading the word, spreading the show. Like and subscribe on YouTube. I appreciate everybody who is a member of the channel as well. The $10 people, the $25 people, the $50 people. Please become a member of the channel as well. Support this so we can keep this rolling. Go to firstskyOmaha.com and hit the join button and become a member as well. And we really appreciate it if you would. And yeah, man, it's all love all the time. Like Brother Sherman Wells says, for real, it's love supreme around here for us in a big way. Have a good weekend. You guys take care of yourselves and get into some of the things that's going on this weekend. Summer is heating up and we got a lot of stuff coming.
RG calling you out. I'm gonna give you another chance, man. He said that was weak. You gotta come strong.
I was caught off guard. I was caught off guard. I didn't put my Luther on it. All
right. We're gonna go out like this, man. We appreciate you. We love you. We thank y'all. Catch us same time, same place, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, right here on First Sky Omaha in the morning.
In the morning.
Hey.
Put that Luther on it. In the morning.
What you gonna do about it?
All right, peace.
By the way, Vanglorious, this is protected by the red